Hello, this is Donna and welcome to DD Paper Crafts and my first YouTube video. So today I'm going to show you how I put together this Bodice gift bag, which was inspired by a tutorial on Mel Jess Designs and a 3D project that she made for Simply Cards and Papercraft magazine issue 242. I highly recommend going over and having a look at the video on her YouTube channel, and the templates for the bag can be downloaded in both an SVG and a PDF format from craftworld.com. So this is my version of the bag. I have made some changes to the original version, and let's show you how I put it together. So this is actually my second attempt at this bag. The first bag which I made, which I'll show you here, the fundamental mistake that I made was I used cardstock which was too weighty. So I think the cardstock that I used was 300 to 350 GSM, and it didn't manipulate very well. There was cracking and it had got a white core which I didn't like, and the end result was not how I wanted, so I decided to discard that. So the second time around I'm actually using this Linda Chapman's World of Paper Super Smooth Black card, which is a 200 GSM, and I love this card because it is a black rather than a charcoal black. And for my decoration I'm using a spot which is from this Stamps by Me 12 by 12 paper stack black and white collection. Now I have to say the error with the first project was completely down to me. Nothing wrong with the instructions, nothing wrong with the tutorial. It was purely my error in the cardstock that I initially chose. What I have also done this time is I've used the PDF download again because I don't have an electronic die cutting machine. I have taken more time in the preparation, so I've spent more time manipulating and curving the pieces to start with and more time scoring, and I'm hoping that that's going to help as I move forward. So I've got all my pieces cut out. Now I have made some changes to the original design in that when you print off the back piece of the bodice, it comes as one whole section, as you can see here, and it also comes with the holes marked for the eyelets. Now in my original bag I had a piece of vellum in the middle and I wanted to stick with that, and I also wanted to change so there was more of a loop system here. So in order to achieve that I cut this piece into 3 pieces and created some rings to create my hooks, as it were, which I've then secured on the back. I've done that on both sides, and then I've also cut a piece of vellum to match the size of this middle section, so that's going to sit like that. These will sit over the top, and the back panel will end up exactly the same size as it would have been if I'd cut it as one piece. So I'm just going to stick down my vellum now. So as you can see, that's the same size as it would have been originally. Next step in the process is to make the cups. So I'm just going to get my left and my right cups. I've labelled these as per the downloaded pattern, and I'm now going to just start to add the two together. I'm going to start at the bottom. Just give that a few seconds to grab. I'm going to push also from underneath. And I can already tell that because I'm using a base card of a much lower GSM than the one that I previously tried, the card is much easier to manipulate. So I'm just going to turn that over, and I'm just going to push the tabs down from the inside and set that aside. So the next part of the process is to insert the cups into the front bodice. And again, because I've found this process easier to do it this way, I'm going to add the glue onto the main card body rather than the actual tabs. And then I'm going to make sure that the seam of the cup is lined up with the score line on the bodice, like so. Just give that a minute to grab. And then I'm going to add glue to the rest of the main base and add the rest of the cup on. Then I'm going to turn that over, and I'm just going to use my scoring tool to push the tabs down. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry, and then I will come back and join the back piece and the front piece together. So the bodice is now, front bodice is now dry, and what we're going to do is we're now going to attach the back bodice to the front bodice. Now, having learned from the first bag, which I've obviously now discarded, what I've done is I've add a very thin strip of red liner tape up against the score line, and then so that will catch the first part of the back bodice and make it easier to manipulate. And then I will add glue to the ends of the tabs to ensure that it's stuck down securely. So I'm just going to peel the backing off of the red liner tape, and starting from the bottom, because I can always trim the top, I'm going to add glue to the ends of the tabs. And I'm going to catch the first part of the bag with the red liner tape. So I'm just going to work my way along, trying to ensure that the edge of this back piece here gets as close to the score line as possible, and I'm pressing from behind against the tabs to manoeuvre it into shape. Add some more glue. The thin strip of red liner tape has almost acted like using a hot glue gun, because it's given me an instant catch, and I've got a much better shaped edge here than I would have done if I just used the glue. So I'm just going to flip that over, and I'm just going to snip where it doesn't quite meet up at the top. So I'm just going to snip here, like so, and then I'm going to do exactly the same process on this side. So the front and back of the bag are now joined together. So the next step is to add the base. So in the pattern you get an inner and an outer base. What I'm going to do, just because I think I'll find it easier than I did on the first bag, is I'm actually going to add the outer piece first and then add the inner piece. I'm going to add red liner tape around the edge of the outer piece, which again will enable me to get the first catch. This part of the process is actually quite fiddly, so you do need to take your time because the bag is an odd shape. So I'm going to put my hand inside the bag, and I'm just going to push down from the top and the bottom, pushing the base against the tabs, trying to match up the edge of the card with the edge of the bag. And obviously what I can do at the end is, if anything overlaps, I can trim it. So because I've used a thin tape, I do have a bit of wiggle time here, so I can move that closer up to the edge as I move my way around. Onto the other side. I'm just going to go in from the top and just push down against all the tabs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add construction glue to the back of my inside piece, because as this dries, this will create some strength. So I'm using Kalal all-purpose glue. So I'm going to add this to the inside. And I'm going to use my end of my score tool just to put that, push that down. Okay, so that's the base, well done. So now to decorate. So I have all my outside panels, and I'm now going to just work my way around, again using the Kalal glue because that will give it some strength, and I'm going to add the decorative panels on. I've now added the decorative paper to the front of the bag. I've also added a handle, which is just 2 strips of the decorative paper stuck together just to give it some strength. And I have added that into a slightly different place to that on the original design. And I've added my ribbon to the back. So the project's now finished. I will say I'll probably give this about a 7 out of 10. I am quite hard on myself, but there are elements of it that I'm not happy with. One of the disadvantages, as much as I love black cardstock, is that you do get glue showing, and I do tend to be a bit overzealous with the glue. So if there was anything that I would change, I would use a little less glue and tidy up a bit more as I went along. But all in all, I've enjoyed making this project. I love the back panel with the ribbon, and I think that although I don't have any in my stash, I might decorate it with some black roses. I might make some black roses and decorate it with those. So I hope that you've managed to stick with me to the end of this, my first YouTube tutorial. And I think now is the time that I'm supposed to say, if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Please consider hitting the subscribe button and also the notification bell. So that's it from me. Until next time, thank you for watching.